Welcome to the studio of Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. We hope your day was productive. 10x your business with digital marketing from Just Minding My Business Media, LLC on JMMB Media TV or Mindset Movers TV. Contact us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Strength isn't something we all naturally have. It is something we do and then become. Wear a crown, a practical guide to knowing your worth. Today, we continue a series of interviews of contributing authors from the upcoming anthology release, Drop the Mask, Share the Crown. Inspired by the visionary author Dawn Lieck, who is herself an international author, speaker, and 4 times best-selling author. Today, we welcome Dr. Renee Minter. Dr. Minter will share with us her story in creating her chapter of Drop the Mask, Share the Crown. So, who is Dr. Renee Minter? She is a prolific professional philanthropist, author, and educator. She is a Christian-based psychotherapist based in New York City, New York. Dr. Minter is a strong supporter of people having access to mental health services despite their income. A featured writer for the Rebirth of a Total Woman magazine, she is also co-author in multiple anthologies, including the Amazon bestseller Finally Free, and now the soon-to-be-released anthology, Drop the Mask, Share the Crown. Welcome, Dr. Minter.
Yes. Welcome,
thank you
darling.
so much. I've been on your platform once before, and I feel like I'm quite at home. So I thank you for this opportunity to join you once again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's tell everybody how you got on this road to where you are right now.
Well, the road to where I got on right now actually started with you, Ida. Started a couple of years ago, my very first anthology, and I think we're probably now at our 6th or 7th anthology with Women Inspiring Nations, the original Women Inspiring Nations. And did that about 3 years ago, not even realizing that I had a story to tell and that anybody would be interested in hearing it. But I found that writing has been very therapeutic for myself, and people love to hear my stories, and they are my true life stories. And here we go again. So now we're at Drop the Mask and Wear the Crown.
Yeah. So what do people have to look forward to in your chapter?
Okay, well, this is my most intimate, my most personal story. And it's something that really has been, inside of me for probably about 30 years. And it was time to tell the story. And it was painful. It was painful, but sometimes we have to choose our pain. And if the pain is going to be something that's going to lead to healing, then I'm going to choose that pain. So if I could just give you just a little nugget, we know that history repeats itself. And my story is very similar. Matter of fact, the name of my chapter is The Road to Damasking Leads to Destiny and Purpose. And it kind of rides along the same story that Saul rode on the road to Damascus and had his conversion and became Paul and found true purpose and found his way to writing and being a great apostle in the modern day Christian church. So my story is about my own demasking and following something, just as Saul believed when he was a Sanhedrin that he was doing the right thing. And I believed that I was doing the right thing and I was being paid well to do it. And then there was my demasking experience that changed everything for me.
Wow. I can't wait. That sounds
interesting.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Wow. I have to simmer on that because that's going to be a really good read. So I can't wait because in life, we do think that we're doing things that are the right thing to do.
At the moment.
At the moment, until we start to really soul search ourselves, and also aligning ourselves with what God expects of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I think sometimes we don't understand the path that other people are traveling until we step into that ourselves. And that's really what happened. It just by happenstance and being mistaken excuse me, being mistaken for something that I wasn't, it put me into a situation that I had seen many, many times before and had my hand in it. But it really changed the way I saw marginalized people, and also the way I would live my life from that moment forward.
Something that has really come up for me, and in listening to you, it sounds along the same lines. Many of us live our lives in the shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes something momentous to make us realize that that's what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we do, it's this tremendous, it's an aha moment. But it
Exactly.
can be a very painful, it's not an aha, oh, yippee, yippee. It's an aha, oh my goodness.
Exactly. If I could just, speak just a little bit more about it. I was a social worker by profession, and by my first profession. But we understand that social workers are supposed to help people. And in my occupation at that time, I believed that I was actually helping people. But it turned out that once I saw something from another perspective, I found that I was causing more harm than hurt. And no one ever talks about what happens to the people that are on the front line. What happens to the social workers? What happens to the first responders when we go home? So part of the story is the rebuilding of myself after being on the battlefield for so long.
That is fascinating, because if anyone who's ever had any dealings with the social, with
Exactly.
social, what do you call it? Social
services. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know that some of those workers, they're beat up because of
Exactly.
their attitude that they bring to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I came here for help, and yeah, you don't look like you're really in a mood to help me. And we forget that they are going through something.
Exactly.
And that's, we forget about, like you say, the frontliners. It's not about their degree.
No.
It's not about their whether they're a sergeant or whatever. It's not about any of that. They're human. They're human just like we are, and they feel things.
Exactly.
And sometimes they're just struggling to hold on to a job.
Exactly.
And they're like, well, I got to do this. I don't want to, but I'm going to. And that's got to weigh on your conscience.
Exactly. There's a poem that I used to actually keep in my office, and I thought that I was reading it and understanding it, but the poem said something about what would happen if you were on the other side of the desk, and to imagine what it would be like to be a mother who has children that you can't feed, or a mother who has a problem with addiction and you're pregnant, and you're battling the addiction, and you love your baby at the same time. But what would you do if you were on the other side of that desk?
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity, as fate would have it, and I believe that all things come together for good, and I really do. I'm thankful for the experience, but I found myself, because I was misjudged, on the other side of the desk. And it took 30 years to tell the story. It took 30 years, but it's out now.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is so awesome.
Because that's a powerful place to come from.
Yes.
It's a powerful place to come from. And I think that people who have been in social services will be glad to read it because they'll say, oh, this is someone who actually knows what I was experiencing on the other side of the desk. She finally
Exactly.
got it. Somebody finally understands.
And
Exactly.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
yes, and the thing, dealing with the social service situation, I've had to be a part of that due to family members that were a part of that system. And I remember going to court because they were trying to
Mhm.
remove the kids. And
Mhm.
the kids, I knew personally that they weren't eating, that these things were happening. I knew personally that drugs was involved in the
Right.
household.
Right.
And the kids were like, yes, we eat. So they defend their parents no matter
Mhm.
what, no
Mhm.
matter what the situation is.
Well, Ida, that's actually the situation that I'm talking about. When I was doing this, it was in the end of the heroin. Well, now heroin is back, but the end of the heroin era, and
Oh,
then the introduction of the crack era. So
Right.
I was actually all involved in the removing of children. I became an expert witness in family court, and it never dawned on me what happened to those children once I removed them from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's taken me years to forgive myself for not investigating what happened. And what happens often with marginalized children is they go from one system to another system. So
Yes.
they go into the family court system, into the foster care system, into the penal system.
yes.
Yes.
And when I had my moment, my moment of demasking, that's when I turned everything around. And instead of um, tearing apart families, because there's still love there. We
Mm.
may have pathology because someone is a drug addict or because they have a particular problem, but that doesn't mean that they don't love their children. But I turned it around and I started working on the other side of it. And I have become now an advocate for the reunification of families and have actually become an expert witness in that. So that was the demasking, that was the end of the demasking, but there was the personal piece that's in the book. So you're going to have to get the book to find out what happened on my road to demasking. Excuse
Oh, awesome.
me.
All righty. That
Yeah.
sounds really good. I'm looking forward to reading that. I really am.
Yes. I'm
And I
looking
think
forward.
as you say these things, it is an encouragement to many people, myself included, to write about the hard things. You know, we want everyone to think well of us. That's kind of like the norm.
Mhm.
But to be able to be willing to dig into our past and see it honestly and then put it down on paper takes tremendous
Yes.
courage. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
And,
Thank
and
you.
I say thank you that the opportunity had actually come up. And I feel that I was not just telling my story, that there are hundreds and thousands of social workers like myself who
Mhm.
went through that, who were on the battlefield. And I feel like I'm telling their story as well. So, I'm hoping that I've forgiven myself, for what I have done, believing that I was following the right trail, just as Saul was when he was a Sanhedrin and sacrificing the early Christians. So he flipped it and I flipped it, and to God be the glory.
All right now. All righty now. That is such a beautiful story. I think this book is going to change so many lives in
Mhm.
so many different ways.
Mhm.
Because dropping the mask and sharing the crown, it has so many different meanings.
Mhm.
And the main meaning that it has is we are all human. We are all, we all sin. Sometimes we think the wrong things.
Yes.
sometimes we are part of the wrong systems, and not even realizing it, and we all share that.
Yes.
We all share that. Nobody on this earth has not sinned, thanks to Adam and Eve. That's
Exactly.
just the way it is. And to be able to say, I made a mistake, or I did it wrong, that's truly honorable in itself.
Yeah.
Truly honorable in itself.
And I think that had the incident that happened to me, had that not have happened, I probably would have worked my way right through retirement, still doing the same thing, believing that I was doing the right thing. So, behind every, cloud, there's a silver lining. And, thankfully, the outcome, my outcome was not the outcome of those that I had served in the past.
Yes. So now, your new role, how do you feel about that?
Well, now I'm a psychotherapist, and now it's more about the healing process. Any child who has, even parents that argue, that's trauma. But any child who's been removed from their parents, that it's like a double trauma. And we know that childhood trauma that is not addressed turns into adult drama. So now I have it from both ends. So we're working with the children who may have been in the system, but now we're also dealing with the parents who were in the system, still have the trauma, and may not know how to parent their children, because we can only give what we know.
Right.
So if they don't know how to parent because they didn't get that while they were in the foster care system, then they're creating more trauma. So we're trying to break the cycle of pain. And that's why it's so important for me to see marginalized individuals who can't afford to pay. If you've got trauma, there's a room, and you've got no money, there's a place for you inside my practice. So that's my way. That's my way of giving back. So I'm always going to make sure that as long as I can do this, there's somebody that's in need. I'm gonna do my best to see them.
Yes, and you're going to be quite busy.
I am. Well, the other piece that I do, and this is really, and I think I spoke about this the last time, the other piece that I'm doing now, I'm working with addicts. Now, in my other life, I was, I would almost say, working against the addict. But now I'm understanding that addiction is not a choice. Addiction is not a choice. Addiction is a disease. You would not remove a child because a parent has cancer. It's a disease. It's a disease. And I'm understanding now that it's also intergenerational.
Absolutely.
So I had situations where mothers and daughters, and maybe that was their survival mode, but mothers and daughters and grandmothers were all using at the same time. So we've gone from the heroin epidemic to the crack epidemic, and now we're back in the heroin epidemic. So I've come full circle, but I'm on the other side of the circle now. So we're on the side of wellness, and we're on the side of healing.
That's awesome. That is so awesome, because that's where it's going to matter in the long run. Because on the other side, you were adding more trauma.
Yes.
To the situation. On this side of the fence, you're in a more of a healing process.
Exactly.
From the trauma.
Exactly.
Well, that's what a psychotherapist is. They are the ones that actually are more concerned with the healing of a situation.
Yes.
And it's interesting. I hope people who are listening to this and watching this will take a moment of honesty with themselves because one of the key words that we've talked about is trauma. And trauma, you can do that whether you're in the social services arena or whether you're in under your own roof and you've never touched social services. Social services has never touched you.
Mhm.
But there is so much trauma, unhealed trauma, that I hope people who are watching and who listen will actually stop and think about what has gone on in their life that is causing them to act in certain ways. There
Exactly.
are people out there who have spending addictions. They don't realize it's an addiction. There are people out there who have food addictions. They don't realize that it's an addiction. They just think that they eat too much.
Exactly.
You know, there's so many different types of addiction, and all of them have their roots in trauma somewhere along the line.
Absolutely.
So I hope people are listening. And this is a time, I think, that we've been given this time of the pandemic to think our way through our lives rather than run through our lives.
Absolutely.
So now we've slowed down enough to be able to say, oh, listen to this. Did you say trauma? Oh,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I just want to add that, we're at the end of April. And of course, I work this thing all year round, but May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
okay.
And, it's not okay to not be okay.
Yes.
If you're feeling something, talk to somebody about it. And it has become so easy. There are certain things that happened in the pandemic that are not great. But one of the great things that came out of it is you don't have to go to anybody's office anymore. Everything is done in a virtual platform. Now, I don't know if we'll ever go back into the office again. I don't know. But right now, this works. So we are able to see people, in I have patients in other parts of the country, which
Right.
I never could have done before. So, if you've got a feeling that something's not right, talk to someone about it. I just want to add one other thing that's so important to me that I do want to talk about, that this road to Damasking led to. When I switched sides, I switched to the foster care side and providing homes for those children that were removed from their parents. And we found that everybody wants the little babies.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wants the little babies, but
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to get when you get a little baby. But everybody wants little babies. But what happens to the older children?
Right.
What happens to the children that are not adopted out? So in my own little way, we hope that when we have our own children, we plan to teach them what they need to know so that when they're adults, they can be productive citizens in society. But who's going to teach somebody how to bank? Who's going to teach somebody how to set a table? Who's going to teach somebody, how to dress? So I, in my own little way, became like a mother to the motherless. So for the children who were not adoptable, who didn't get adopted, I was there. So if there was something going on at their school, I was the stand-in parent. So I didn't want a child to be performing in a concert and there's nobody there. I didn't want them to be reading a poem and they worked so hard and there's no one there. Now, there are foster parents who are generally in this and they love the children and they adopt the children. But for those who were only in it for the money, I filled in the gap. I stepped in.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's such an important piece of my life that, I need to speak about that because that was part of the healing process.
Wow. And we've got a comment from Nancy Richards. Hi, Nancy. Thank you for listening in. She says, listening and learning. Thank you for the topic. So thank you for listening in, Nancy. We appreciate you. Wow. This has been a really nice conversation. And, we were supposed to have a lot more authors, but as God would have it,
You were it.
we just have Dr. Renee tonight with this important information and an opportunity to make us all think about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
and if it aligns up with God.
Yeah.
So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you. So how can people get in touch with you, Dr. Renee?
Well, I'm on every social platform. Don't ask me. You know, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I'm trying to get into this Clubhouse thing. I'm over there too. So I'm just about, everywhere. Um, Facebook is probably the best place to find me. And I also want to point out, I have a little nugget that I didn't mention the last time I was here. You will also be able to see me on television. We are getting ready to launch a television show called Believe in Your Dreams with Dr. Renee. And it's really about people who have had transformational experiences, some through God, some other ways, and have turned their lives around and given back. So we have, I'm just so excited about this. We have, someone who escaped 911, and everyone in his office was lost, and he was paying a parking ticket, and his life was spared, and the rest of his company lost their lives, and he went on to adopt about 10 children and became a minister. We have, oh, I'm going to keep it a secret. I'm going to keep it a secret. You're going to have to tune in, but we're going to be launching next month. So it's all about the miracle in you, and it's with me, Dr. Renee.
Okay, and what channel can we look forward to seeing it on?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Like people would just know. It's on the Believe in Your Dreams network. So if anyone has a smart TV, you'll catch it there. It's one of the listings there. You'll also catch it on Amazon, Roku, the same stations that you're on. So it's the Believe in Your Dreams network, and it's The Miracle in You with Dr. Renee.
Oh, lovely.
You have been super, super busy.
Yes, you have.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. We definitely, and when we're going to have you on our TV show.
Thank you. Bless your heart.
We just launched Mindset Movers TV last month. So that platform, we have different hosts who are bringing information, empowerment, and inspiration and education to people.
Exactly.
And so far, we have 3 beautiful hosts that are bringing it, and we're looking to bring on more. So we will definitely, we're definitely going to have you in the house now. So
bless your heart. Thank
you. In the family now.
Thank you.
We just love talking to you, and you're just such an inspiring woman. And the things that you do and how you give.
Thank you.
With no expectations. You just give from the heart, and you can feel it when you talk about it. So the world is definitely blessed to have you.
Well, I thank God. I speak about this often. I do none of this for me. None of this. There's no vainglory in this. Everything that I do, I'm prayerful that people will see God through me. And if God's not in it, I'm not in it.
Oh, that's right. Amen to that. I like that. If God's not in it, I'm not in it. I know that's right. Because it's no point in being there.
No.
If God's not in it, because you know that there's no leadership. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. Without a vision, without God, I'd be lost. He actually leads my footsteps. I just want to add that I have 2 other projects that I do. I actually have a lot more projects, but besides this one, I'm doing Thankful and Blessed 365. With Sheila Farr. She's the visionary for that. Also, after that, The Unstoppable Black Woman, where I'm talking about being an African-American professor in a white university, and how that experience. And Carlika Basnight Melendez. Yes, all of that.
Yes.
Her book, I just agreed to do that today, Women Who Pray. So I got a lot going on for that. It seems like there's a project launching every month. And as long, like I said, as long as God is in it, it's always to his glory. As long as he's in it, I'm doing it.
I know that's right. Yeah, I just got into Kalika's book as well. I'm looking forward to doing it. I think it's
Yes.
going to be a really nice collaboration
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, prayer is all we have.
Exactly.
God is all we can count on
Exactly.
and believe in.
Yeah. And there's 90 women.
Oh
90
my
women with
goodness.
prayer. Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yes.
this
So
is
that's
going to be a movement.
exactly. Exactly. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
pretty busy. I'm pretty busy.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
yeah.
you are. Yes, you are. You are definitely a soldier.
Mhm.
Well, Dr. Renee, it is always a pleasure. We are always going to be following everything that you're doing, and you're always going to be a part of our family. So we love you, and we're looking forward to everything that you do.
Yeah.
As you are a beautiful soul, and I know God is smiling down, looking at everything that you do, and saying, "That's my child."
Yeah, bless your heart for the kind words. Thank you. And I thank God.
Yes.
And for everybody, oh, we got Nancy again. Oh, she's the same one. But anyway, we want to thank everybody for joining. There should have been more drop the mask, share the crown, folks. But like I said before, as God would have it, this was intentionally done
Mm-hmm.
by a greater power. So we thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next week, same place, same time, with the drop the mask, share the crown gang. Thank you.